Silliman University, a prime Christian school where education builds competence, character, and faith in an environment of serenity, inclusivity, and natural beauty. The Silliman story began with one determined man, one dedicated educator couple, and one supportive community who, in their respective roles, helped build one educational institution that has grown into one of the best in the Philippines. The determined man was Dr. Horace Brinsmaid Silliman, a retired businessman and philanthropist who lived in Coho City, New York State. Over 100 years ago, in 1899, he requested the Presbyterian Board of Foreign Missions in Manhattan to open an industrial school for boys in the Philippines, in a location south of Manila. He would not take no for an answer and gave an initial fund of $10,000 to set up the school he had envisioned, to educate young people he would never meet in a faraway land that he would never see. The two dedicated educators were Dr. David Sutherland Hibbard and his wife Laura, a missionary couple that the board commissioned to establish and operate the suggested school. They were asked to choose a location in any of 3 provinces south of Manila. These are Cebu, Zamboanga, or Iloilo. Call it destiny. But while the couple was in Cebu, someone suggested that they do a side trip to nearby Dumaguete. They came, they saw, and were conquered, so to speak. The idyllic seaside town, the friendly and healthy people, and the able community leaders made the couple decide to set up the school in Dumaguete, which became its supportive host and partner community. Silliman University is now more than 117 years old. It is headed by its 13th president, Dr. Betty Cernal McCann. Installed in 2018, she is the first woman president, following 12 male leaders, 3 Americans, and 9 Filipinos. Granted autonomous status by the Commission on Higher Education, or CHED, Silliman University is a CHED Center of Excellence for Nursing, Information Technology, and Teacher Education, as well as a Center of Development for Biology, Medical Technology, and Marine Sciences. Silliman University has been granted institutional reaccreditation by the Association of Christian Schools, Colleges, and Universities Accrediting Council, Incorporated. Institutional accreditation or reaccreditation is the highest accreditation award ACSCU can give to an educational institution. Silliman's offering of quality Christian education ranges from early childhood to postgraduate level. Its student population of 10,000 counts among the best performing students in the Philippines, and Silliman graduates are among the most sought-after professionals in the private or public sector. In the Visayas region, Silliman University is a recognized leader in community service, a trusted partner of government and non-government organizations. It has pioneered several community projects in healthcare, agriculture, information technology, Christian ministry and outreach, law and justice, governance, youth development, calamity and disaster response, education and training, service learning, and environmental protection. Silliman graduates have established their reputation beyond the Philippine shores. They are valued members of health, business, engineering, science and technology, education, communication, research, and other organizations in North America, Europe, Asia, and Australia. Several Silliman alumni have distinguished themselves through the decades, excelling and leading in their respective fields. Notable Sillimanians include Senator Lorenzo G. Teves in public administration, DepEd Secretary Leonor Mantoles Briones in civil service, Dr. Guy Lopez Caballo in music, Dr. Julio C. in business, Dr. Angel C. Alcala in the biological and environmental sciences, Drs. Edilberto and Edith Tiempo in literature, Director Eddie Romero in filmmaking and the arts, Dr. Romeo Ariniego in medicine, and Dr. Rolando del Carmen in legal education, to name a few. Silliman aims to provide whole person education to every student through the interaction of 5 learning venues that it dubs as the 5 C's of Silliman education: the classroom, the church, the cultural center, the athletic courts, and the community. The classroom includes the university's academic programs, facilities, faculty, and methods of instruction. Silliman University's 19 colleges, institutes, and schools offer some 140 programs, most of which have attained the highest level of accreditation from PAASCO and ACSCU, two accrediting bodies recognized by CHED. The Silliman faculty is an assembly of highly qualified professionals and academics whose expertise is recognized not only in the country, but also in North America, Europe, and other parts of the world. Visiting, exchange, and adjunct professors from the university's international partners bring in global knowledge. Silliman faculty do not only teach, they model and they mentor. The church is the heart of the Silliman campus, and Christian faith is the foundation of Silliman education. Beyond developing her knowledge and skills, the student at Silliman develops her capacity to serve fellow human beings. Activities for nurturing the faith, worship, fellowship, and service engage the student year-round. Nevertheless, church activities are designed and organized observing spiritual inclusivity and respect for differences in religious persuasions. The courts refer to athletic activities and competitions. Physical activity is deemed as important as mental activity at Silliman. Facilities for different ball games, swimming, contact sports, archery, and rowing have been developed and opportunities arranged to explore students' potentials. Several Sillimanians have ruled the courts in their time, such as Mark Javier, the lone Filipino male archer at the Beijing Olympics, archers Jennifer Chan and Lisa Ignalaga, and ninth grader Nicole Tagle, long jumper Simeon Toribio. Silliman has long been a leader of arts development in the country. Its programs in music, dance, theater, and visual and literary arts have produced some of the best artists in the Philippines. The Silliman University National Writers Workshop, the longest-running literary workshop in Asia, has been ongoing for almost 60 years. Its founders, Drs. Idilberto and Edith Tiempo, are two celebrated Filipino writers in the English language. In recognition of Silliman's leadership in the development of culture and the arts, generous donors have gifted the university with cultural facilities such as the Claire Isabel McGill Luce Auditorium, dubbed as the Cultural Center of the South, and the Ariniego Arts Gallery. Social inclusivity and continuing involvement in the larger community characterize Silliman education. Students are challenged to test theories and principles through actual community work in service learning, an approach that combines reflection with participation in community-based projects to achieve specific learning outcomes. It enables the student to develop a more integrated understanding of theory, practice, and values. Students apply the service learning approach for community-based learning in business development, education, healthcare, legal management, disaster response, and environmental advocacy. Silliman University promotes a service learning approach to provide quality social engagement between the student and the community to develop critical thinking, civic responsibility, and leadership, as well as to strengthen the values of service and compassion.
Come to Silliman if you're seeking opportunities for growth and excellence in every dimension of your life. Be enriched by its holistic and responsive educational program with a Christian orientation. Find yourself in a learning community of highly qualified faculty, dedicated staff, supportive alumni, and exciting co-learners. Feel close to God in the beauty and splendor of the Silliman campus.
Silliman offers education for total human development, an education that is fulfilled in three ways. One, it promotes the convergence of knowledge from various disciplines and areas of learning. Two, it encourages inclusiveness as well as diversity, the acceptance of everyone who comes through Silliman's portals, regardless of culture, class, or creed. And three, it deepens the spirit of service and widens Silliman students' sense of responsibility to embrace their community, their country, and their planet. 117 years old, rich with legacies and traditions.
The only thing constant in this world is change.
We, as a university, seek ways to ameliorate the conditions before us today.
And we continue to adapt to the challenges of this changing world.
A leading Christian institution committed to total human development for the well-being of society and environment. And our education is to be used as a tool for the well-being of society and the only place, the earth, we all live in.
Come to think of it, whole person education was with us ever since we began. It starts with values, Christian values, a seed which is planted in every Silimanian. Our commitment is on fire. Faith, instruction, research, extension.
Whole person education in the university's teaching and non-teaching programs and services. Education for total human development should be sustained as an educational framework.
In Silliman, we strive to offer quality education. And part of the quality education in Silliman is to offer our students a variety of venues for learning. These are what we call the 5 C's of Silliman education. The first C, of course, is the classroom, where students learn and engage professors and faculty who are among the best in the country.
Whole person education as one that promotes multidisciplinarity, inclusiveness, self-direction, and social responsibility.
Responsive to the needs of today.
With liberal arts education, we as an institution provide an atmosphere of inclusion more than exclusion. People of all creeds, people coming from different countries, personal and political orientations, people with different work backgrounds and socio-economic levels can all be a part of a community of learning. The multiple sources of learning here at Silliman that we identify to be the classroom, our athletic grounds, our church, our cultural center, the community in general. All these allow for various perspectives and learning applications that help realize the educational aspirations of all who enter the gates of Silliman.
Sports is integral to Silliman.
The second C would be the courts, the athletic fields, where students and faculty and staff come together regularly in order to celebrate the value of the body in relation to the mind.
Where is multidisciplinarity in whole person education? Subscribing to the concept that education is life necessarily entails that our teaching and learning must go beyond the narrow confines of our individual disciplines. The more collaboration we have with other fields or disciplines, the better we are at approximating the truths we are searching. Promoting multidisciplinarity, linkages, and networks among faculty, staff, and students, as well as interactions between and among academic units and divisions, does not only build skills, but also establish fellowship, harmony among one another.
The third venue for Silliman education would be the cultural centers. Many times in the year, the students are given a dose of cultural activities that will allow them to delve into the sensitivities of the human nature.
as to whole person education and self-direction with social responsibility. Excellence in programs and services provided to students is not an end of itself. It is hoped that the education attained becomes an instrument for a higher purpose, like doing service to others.
Silimanians throughout the years have always had the opportunity to learn directly from local communities around Negros Oriental and even throughout the country.
We have community service, structured health teachings. Not only does it improve our skills, we're also given the chance to give back to the community, serve them, and try to empower them in order to build a better community.
Another major feature of Siliman education is this education of the soul and of the spirit through the church. This is where our students learn of the value of nurturing their spiritual life.
What we have right now is on the pre-computer education for the senior citizen, and it is a 3-year commitment of Siliman and to the community.
Whole person education is not just our commitment, it is our way of life. It is who we are, Silliman University.
Dr. Mariano C. Lau Global Study Center of Silliman University.
Are you a passionate professional looking to inspire the next generation? Are you looking for more in this world? To be part of something with purpose? To impart knowledge to make a difference? At the Global Studies Center, we're on the lookout for course offerers like you. Teach on your schedule, from anywhere in the world, in a supportive community, and make a real impact on eager minds through our online platform. Ready to share your expertise and inspire the leaders of tomorrow? Be a course offerer at the Global Studies Center, Silliman University. Email us.
Introducing the Silliman Journal Online System. The Silliman Journal Online System can be found on one of the web pages of official website of Silliman University. Its official URL is sillimanjournal.su.edu.ph. The Silliman Journal Online System is designed and customized using an open journal access system, an open source solution for managing and publishing scholarly journals online. Silliman Journal Online System is a comprehensive web-based system that manages the entire submission, editorial, and publishing workflow online. Silliman Journal Online System provides world-class standardization in publishing and indexing. It offers responsive reader front-end, flexible and configurable editorial workflow, online submission and management, email notification for readers, ready for indexing, discoverability, export tools, and integration with its scholarly publishing services such as Crossref, ORCID, and DOAJ, or Directory of Open Access Journals. Optimized for search engine discovery such as Google, and comprehensive indexing of content, Google Analytics plugin for monitoring site traffic, and complete context-sensitive online help support. Like us on Facebook. The Dr. Mariano C. Lau Global Studies Center envisions to be a hub for creating new, globally oriented, inter-cross, multi-inter-transdisciplinary global studies and training in technology-enhanced modalities. Its mission is to offer students and lifelong learners opportunities to acquire skills through technology-driven, flexible learning methods, enabling them to stay relevant in both the workplace and society. The center has 3 goals. First is to offer stackable, online, and non-degree programs that facilitate knowledge acquisitions, skills development, master classes, and lifelong learning for both local and international learners. Second is to provide ICT-enabled teaching and learning strategies to other centers and institutes within the university, helping them extend and enhance their programs. Third, to establish a platform for technology-oriented research, community engagement, and service learning, which includes offering free computer education and furthering partnerships with alumni, as well as international professional and research organization to enable global learning opportunities. As part of the supervision of the Vice President for Academic Affairs, Silliman University Lau Global Studies Center has 4 units to complement its vision, mission, goals, and its product and services. These are Non-Degree Programs Unit or NDP, Silliman Online University Learning Unit or SOUL, Innovation, Creation, Invention, and Outreach Unit or ICIO, and Institutional Skills Assessment Unit or ISA. The Non-Degree Programs Unit is a core of our enterprise, provides a diverse range of courses encompassing various topics, durations, modalities, and approaches, featuring on-demand streaming and tutorial for flexible accessibility. Stackable online non-degree offerings such as short and crash courses, lectures, seminar, master classes for continuing education or recreational learnings. On-demand or streaming video topical content such as video recordings of the past Global Study Center offerings, including pre-recorded materials that can be accessed upon request. And tutorial and assistance services are available as part of the NDP programs, offering one-to-one guidance and support specifically tailored to technology-related topics and utilization assistance. The SOUL unit maintains its role in supporting technology-driven information quality assurance, including responsibilities like overseeing the administration of learning management system, enhancing user skills and engagement through upskilling, reskilling and retooling initiatives, managing network and hardware resources for teaching and learning, facilitating instructional systems development, curating open educational resources or OER, and handling other aspects of knowledge management systems. Additionally, SOUL unit provides support for the implementation of online academic programs as needed. The Innovation, Creation, Invention, and Outreach or ICIO unit continues in providing free computer education for diverse lifelong learners in the community, overseeing the coordination of the Silliman University Alumni Engagement Program and serving as a dedicated research facility for technology-focused research and development programs. It will maintain its role as technology-oriented training facility. ICIO unit offers flexible and hybrid computer laboratory, free computer education, technology research and capstone ground, free RISE assistance program, alumni engagement, and educational technology research collaborations. The Institutional Skills Assessment or ISA unit facilitates micro-credentialing and various forms of continuing professional development accreditation. Additionally, in partnership with other centers of the university, ISA unit facilitates any forms of skills evaluation and accreditation systems for learners seeking certification. ISA unit offers micro-credentialing system, CPD units, and skills assessments. Visit, like, follow, and engage with us on our online accounts or call local 418 and 417. We connect minds and navigate the future with knowledge and innovation towards global excellence.
Before the webinar begins, kindly rename your Zoom name to your complete name and department or affiliation. This helps us identify participants and promotes a productive discussion. Please ensure that your microphone is muted when you are not speaking. This minimizes background noise and ensures a clear audio experience for all participants. If your internet connectivity allows, we encourage you to switch on your video. It helps create a more engaging and interactive webinar experience. However, this is optional based on your internet stability. Questions and discussions will be held after the main presentation. Please save your questions for the designated Q&A session. You can use the chat feature to type your questions during the talk. The session will be recorded for future reference. All recorded videos will be uploaded to and accessible on the Silliman Online University YouTube channel. By attending, you consent to being recorded. After the training session, we kindly request that you fill out and submit the evaluation form. Upon submitting the evaluation form, you will receive a certificate of attendance and/or participation via email. Please ensure your email address is correctly provided in the evaluation form. Your feedback is valuable and helps us improve our future webinars. Thank you for your cooperation and participation in our Zoom webinar. We look forward to a productive and engaging session.
Heavenly Father, we come to you in this hour, asking for your guidance and protection to our virtual gathering today. We thank you for the gift of life, the gift of family, the gift of work, and the gift of friendship. We thank you for this great opportunity to bring us together in this session as brothers and sisters. Bless the committee, the facilitator, and the attendees of this gathering. May we continue to value and appreciate the true essence and meaning of life with the help of your grace. And as we go along to our discussion today, we humbly pray that you would deepen our understanding. Lord, enlighten us and give us wisdom every day. Forgive us for our shortcomings and remind us to always be mindful of the things we do in life. We offer our life and our decisions to you, O Lord. May this gathering today create a memorable experience and a fruitful outcome. We ask this through our Lord Jesus Christ, our Redeemer and our Savior. Amen.
Hello and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to today's workshop on implementing micro-learning strategies here at Silliman University. I am Oria Lisa Maipa, a faculty of Silliman University, and I will be your facilitator for this event. We are delighted to have you all here as we explore innovative approaches to enhance learning and knowledge retention. To formally welcome everyone, may I call on the President of the Philippine E-Learning Society Region 7, Assistant Professor Joy M.D. Joy.
Welcome participants. Am I audible enough? Okay. Welcome participants to this afternoon's free computer education workshop of the Dr. Mariano Lau Innovation, Creation, and Invention Laboratory in partnership with the Association of Christian Schools and Universities and the Philippine E-Learning Society Region 7 and funded by the United Board of Christian Higher Education in Asia. This workshop on implementing micro-learning strategies will allow you to delve into the world of bite-sized learning. We are delighted to have each of you joining us virtually today, despite the brownout in some areas of the province and the hot weather, of course. Throughout our time together this afternoon, we'll be diving into the exciting realm of microlearning and discovering how it can transform traditional training methods. Whether you're a seasoned educator, a learning enthusiast, or someone simply curious about new learning approaches, this workshop is designed to equip you with practical insights and strategies. So let's embrace this digital journey together this afternoon as we explore the dynamic world of micro learning. Good afternoon.
Thank you, Ma'am Joy, for that insightful welcome message. Your words have set the stage perfectly for our exploration of micro-learning strategy. So it is now my great pleasure to introduce the project leader of Micro Credential Project and the director of Mariano C. Lau Global Study Center of Silliman University, Dr. Dave E. Marshall, who will delve into the fundamentals of micro-learning. Sir Dave, the virtual floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you, our pretty lady of ceremonies. And of course, equally pretty also who welcomed us, the president of the Philippine E-Learning Society Region 7, our dean at the College of Computer Studies, Silliman University, Dean Joy D. Maayong hapon sa tanan. It's a hot afternoon actually. Here in Dumaguete, we just also lifted our no class. So we will be back to school actually on Monday as our province declared no classes due to the increasing heat index in the province. Nevertheless, we are so glad that you are here. For sure, we are at our respective, perhaps air conditioned or convenient and comfortable places where we are right now and ready to embark, as mentioned by Dean Joy, to explore and embark on new, shall we say, innovative teaching and learning called micro learning. Um, in the registration, I understand that when you register, there was a portion or there is a question in the registration that asks you what best describe you in attending this training, and you were given an option. Either one is you are integrating micro learning in the class. Second is you are not integrating micro learning in the class, but you're familiar with it. And then the third one is you are not familiar with micro learning. Many of you actually answered on the second, which means you are not integrating but familiar into micro learning, most probably. I assume that, but I think you will change your mind after my discussion because I believe all of us in the academe, in one way or another, implemented micro learning in our own context or micro learning as a teaching strategy, especially during the COVID time. Let me share my screen and so that I can start my discussion. And give me a thumbs up if you are seeing my cover page, which is on a seminar on implementing micro learning strategies. Give me a thumbs up, please, if you are seeing the poster seminar on implementing micro learning strategies. That's basically my first slide. Is it visible? Thank you. Yes. Oh, we have friends from Philomer Christian University. We also have from other places. We even have from Indonesia. Some of my friends are here. And anyway, thank you for attending. Because our topic is micro learning, I will make sure also that I can walk the talk and I'll be delivering my topic on fundamental of micro learning strategy in a micro learning way. So that means in just a span of 45 minutes or less, I'll talk about the introduction. I'll talk about how to design micro learning activities. I will also talk about strategies in implementing micro learning, specifically in the classroom, and how to assess the effectiveness of micro learning and some of my concluding remarks before I will turn over to two of my colleagues who will be exhibiting and demonstrating what I am talking about with all the designs, implementation process, assessment rubrics or assessment methodology, and some of the concluding remarks. Before I will start, who among you here have experienced or complained that you've been preparing or you had a sleepless nights in preparing all your content, but unfortunately, your students did not even download or dare to click your materials. Or you notice also that in your class, when you are in the synchronous session, your students are something like this. While they are in the computer, they are sleepy, they got bored, and the worst is they sleep inside either in the physical classroom or in the virtual classroom, especially during synchronous learning. And I believe, and I must admit also, that sometimes many of my students are also sleepy if I am not prepared in the class. Many of my students, when I bombarded them with a lot of activities that sometimes impractical, maybe because I am not ready, or maybe because I fail to pilot or I fail to simulate all the activities given in the class, and that makes the interest or boredom comes in among my students. So what is micro learning? So those are some of my motivations, and actually this is part of our project on micro micro credentials. And in the micro credential project, many of the literature, many in the literature always bring us to the idea of micro learning. So what is micro learning then? In the previous workshops, or for those who are our suki in attending the faculty development and the other seminars in relation to our project on micro credentials, I define what is micro credentialing means, but this time we will focus more into the pedagogy, which is on the micro learning. Okay, so what is micro learning? Micro learning, from the name itself, micro learning, micro meaning it's small. So it's a teaching pedagogy, it's a teaching method that involves delivering small, focused bursts of content to learners. So focus. So when we say focus, it's either intended only for this group or intended only for this kind of learner or intended only for this kind of year level, typically through digital platforms. That is why during the online distance learning, we got a lot of complaint. And in my introduction, I asked you of that because we received so many complaints also that how come that our students are not reading or downloading our materials? And then when you look at the materials, oh my God, it's like 2 hours video. It's a 2 hour pre-recorded of our teacher, and there's no animation. It's all the face on the screen. And for sure, you also will easily get bored if the animation is too, or the object that we see or we saw on the screen is very static, and that for sure you will be bored also. Micro learning is actually biased to digitally enhanced teaching and learning. That is why micro learning is always associated with micro credential courses, and micro learning is always delivered via a digital platform. Micro learning are bite-sized learning modules. When we say bite-sized, not the long one, it might be the smallest of all the unit, and that's lesson. And most probably inside a lesson, you are going to dissect into a very specific topic, which designed to meet specific learning objective and are characterized by their brevity and accessibility. You have to take note that the idea in micro learning, because this is in technology enhanced environment, It's not only on content, but it's also emphasized on accessibility. Sometimes students do not want or did not download your material because it's not accessible. And when you say accessible, it's not about only about the internet, but it's about how large and how big the file. That is why, because it's 2 hours, that is why students cannot download the material, because that's perhaps it's 1000 gig and difficult to download. Or perhaps that's very long and the size is too large and too big and that's difficult to access. So brevity that refers to content, while accessibility that refers to the environment, the platform itself. Micro-learning activities can range from, take note, few seconds to a few minutes. It did not say few hours. Few minutes in length, making them ideal for addressing targeted learning needs in a concise manner. I know that in the Philippines, if we have a 3-unit subject, and if that is a 3-day in contact, that's basically 1 hour. Or if that is a 2-hour contact in a, day, a 2-day contact in a week, that's gonna be 1.5 hour. What does it mean? It means that you will not make an activity enough to 1.5 hour. What you will do is chop your activity that can be finished in few minutes so that they can move on and scaffold to the next. That is micro-learning. What I wanted you to emphasize is it is a teaching method, small size, focus to learners, brevity and accessibility is highlighted. It is in digital, and at the same time, it should be, or micro-learning can range from few seconds to a few minutes in length. In other words, it focuses on the span of time that your activities are administered. What are the characteristics then of a micro-learning? As I'd mentioned this already, brevity, accessibility, focused learning objectives, multimedia reach, and just-in-time learning. Brevity. Again, this is really, the modules are intentionally short, focusing on delivering key information or learning points in a condensed format. I know that most of the time our syllabus is designed for most probably 1 month. That's okay, but you just have to slice it, cut it into smaller portion, just to make it short and concise. For example, in your 1.5 hour, you can most probably divide the topic into three and divide the activities into three also. Why give a 1.5 hour that makes your students disengage? Because they might find it tiring or they might find it boring. Why not stagger it? And perhaps students will excel in 2 out of 3 activities rather than giving one activity that they will fail. Accessibility. Micro-learning content is readily available and accessible to learners, often through digital platforms such as mobile apps or learning management system. That is why in any micro-learning, as much as possible, the content are within or inside your learning management system. Avoid avoid going to a website and then you will just say, go to this link and look for this and then click in this, then you can download. It's not anymore user friendly, and that your students may find it may find it the instruction may find it not so clear to them, and that they don't have the interest anymore to access it. Accessibility also is associated with user friendliness. Accessibility also is also associated when it comes to, of course, your internet connectivity and others. That is why, as much as possible, when you have to check also, you have to benchmark also What's the connectivity and accessibility platform among your students? Focus learning. Each micro-learning activity is designed to achieve a learning objective, ensuring that learners receive relevant and targeted information. We will not say that this activity will respond will respond to 3 program graduate outcomes. That's too impossible. Micro-learning modules often incorporate multimedia elements such as the videos, your graphics, your interactive quizzes to enhance engagement and comprehension. And micro-learning enables learners to access relevant information exactly when they need it, allowing for on-the-go learning and problem solving. What does it mean? It means that when they learn, they can learn at that moment. Not that, okay, next week you will learn that more. You will learn that farther. Okay naman yan. But the idea really is when they attend a specific session, a class session, when they leave the room, it's end. They already evaluated. They already, I mean, their knowledge are already checked. Rather than you will say, okay, just wait for a while, and then next meeting we will have another discussion that is this and that on the third day we will have a summary test covering all of this. What's the importance and benefits of microlearning? Microlearning has gained significant importance in many of the literature. Always tell that because of its alignment with the modern attention span and learning preferences of today's learners. When I started doing research in educational technology, tagal na, my first pre-recording session was actually way back 2013. I had my first recording and then I shared it. And then the audience are not so familiar with synchronous session. And I introduced to them. During that time, the literature is actually telling that the the span time, I mean the attention span of our learners can up to 15 minutes. But now it decreases to almost half. It's 7 minutes. Research has shown that the average attention span of learners has decreased. In many literature actually varies, but when I look at it, 7 minutes, no, 7 minutes, it means that at at the peak actually of the attention span of our students is actually on the 3 minutes, and then it will subside until on the 7 minute dyan na, no more engagement. The interest will zero or into zero, and that's the time that they will keep on scrolling your video because they find it already boring. That's why it's much possible if you are familiar with 1 minute video storytelling, as much as possible make your video shorter, because that's really the intention, and that's really what research is telling us, that attention span of our learners is decreasing. Microlearning addresses this challenge by delivering content in short and easily digestible segments that cater to the shorter attention spans of learners. Because the attention span of our learners therefore, we should also provide them digestible segment, easy to digest, and how or in what form? Make it short, make it interesting, make it multimedia rich. So microlearning offers several benefits. By that definition and by the importance, it increases engagement. That's really the number one in the literature. Microlearning offers practical and effective approach to delivering targeted learning experiences that align the needs and preferences. Because it is aligned to their interests, and that therefore their engagement is also high. Second, improved knowledge retention, flexibility, and cost effectiveness. When we say increase, engagement, the bite-sized nature of microlearning encourages active engagement and participation from learners, leading to enhanced retention of information. That is why by delivering the small and manageable chunks, this strategy promotes better retention and recall of information over time. And I think that is very self-explanatory. It's just like if you are given only a very specific information, it's easy to recall rather than a complicated information, isn't it? Right? 'Di ba? Like if someone will ask us with too many questions, it's too difficult also to answer because there are too many questions. So normally we said hinay-hinay lang or take it easy or one by one. That's basically the idea there. Microlearning allows learners to access content at their own pace and on their own schedule, accommodating different learning styles and preferences. We know that there is a so-called multiple intelligences, and that in order for us to balance and to have common denominator to them, because let's be practical, we cannot create learning journeys to all kind of multiple intelligence that we have in our class. If there are kinesthetic type of learners, if there are intrapersonal type of learners, if there are mathematical, we cannot dare to provide several learning journeys for them. So microlearning can be a common denominator to them. Make it short to all of them. It's cost effective. Why? Compared to traditional, because it requires fewer resources and can be easily scaled to accommodate large number of learners. So dahil short, so obviously your resources are also few, or your resources, or you will not need so much resources to a few content or for a smaller content. So the next question is, how are we going to design a micro-learning activities? Just like any other teaching strategy, we all start to identifying our learning objective. So that's really the basic. Identify the learning objective. What do we want to achieve in a particular activity? So what do you think? Anong gagawin? What we should do? Well, obviously, we have to look at the learning outcomes. We have to look at the course learning outcome. And we know also, like in the Philippines, we have an average to 3 to 5 course learning outcomes. And that in every learning outcomes, in the OBE format, in the outcomes-based education format, some also has certain topic competencies. Some are understanding, some are skills that need to be achieved in a certain topic. So define clear learning objective. Begin by clearly defining the specific learning that we want. Always in this time, it should be specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. Yan talaga. In any literature about micro-learning, they always ask about their learning objective. The rubric is really smart. There's no other rubric. They just have to define operationally how to measure the specific component, the measurability, achievability, relevance, and time-bound aspect in the learning objective. Second, align with the overall learning goals. So what's this overall learning goals? Look at again your course learning outcome. So remember, the first one, define learning objective, look at your competency. Or in some other format, sometimes you call this as the key understanding in every topic. So from there, on the number two, on the second stage to that is look at the overall learning goals. Where are you going to look at? To check it with a course learning outcome. Ensure that the learning objective of your micro activity align to the course learning objective in a broader goal, not just simply on a specific activity. In other words, you should be able as teacher, as academicians, or as facilitators of learning, we should be able to have a wider perspective that this activity is in relation to the next activity. And that is what we call prioritizing key concepts. Identify the most critical concepts or skills that learners need to acquire through the micro learning activity. And the last stage in identifying learning objective is consider the learner needs. Take into account the prior knowledge, skills, and learning preferences your target audience when defining learning objective. If you notice, it's basically the same process. It's very generic, but what I wanted to highlight really is on the specific learning goal of your activity in relation to the broader goal. After identifying your learning objective, that is where you're going to break down the content into bite-sized chunks. So chunking information, break down the content into smaller, digestible chunks that can be easily processed by learners. So questions like, sir, how digestible is digestible? How small is small? So the common answer, the common description in the literature is telling us it according to the type of your learners. But in the Philippines, we normally associate it with time bound. We normally associate it with uh um with contact or with engagement time. So to chunk, look at by time. I think just the first step that you're going to do. Instead of 1 hour, why not make an activity enough for 30 minutes, half of it, and then another 30 minutes, rather than giving one activity for the entire 1.5 minutes. So you know the progression. Later on, you will see the difference. Second, use visual aids. So incorporate visual aids such as images, diagrams, or infographics to reinforce key concepts and facilitate understanding. Take note that our learners today, attention span is decreasing. Second, our learners today are visuals. They wanted to see infographics, they wanted to see images, they wanted to see diagrams rather than us talking a lot or too textual in nature. And then, ito yung sinasabi ko that we have to scaffold. Provide scaffolding support by presenting information in a logical sequence, gradually increasing complexity as learners progress through a micro-learning activity. Gone those days that final project, and you will give your final project at the end. At at and only during the final they will start making their project, lalo na yung mga research, no? You will say, okay, here now we are in the final period, the last 2 weeks. This is the instruction: create a research. And that's not anymore practical to our students. You have to take note that you are not the only one as a subject to them. There's a lot of subjects they have. So make sure that your activity can scaffold at the end, and then at the end it will form part of their final requirement. That is why micro learning is intended or very appropriate when you scaffold also learning objective or learning activities in the class. Incorporate interactivity, include interactive elements such as quizzes, simulation, or activities engage learners and promote active participation. Because it is digital, then therefore you have to use some gamification, game-based approach, and many other platform that can improve engagement or interactivity is either your content or your activities. And the third process in designing micro-learning activity is selecting appropriate delivery method. Consider the learning objective. Again, look at or revisit your learning objective. Choose a delivery method that align with a specific learning objective. For example, if the objective is to reinforce vocabulary, so perhaps interactive flashcards or short quizzes may be appropriate. If that's vocabulary, a role play or dancing may not be appropriate to that. So more on, again, appropriateness of your activity. Second, assess the learner preference. Take into account the preference and needs of your target audience when selecting delivery method. Consider factors such as accessibility, device compatibility, and engagement. I experimented in the class. Result of a group project when I am the one choosing the group member, and result of a group project when they choose their own peer. And mind you, there are more learnings. Scores may not necessarily the indicator, because obviously those who are bright students will group together. So obviously they have a better score than the other. But when it comes to accumulation of learning, they're actually almost similar. The bright and the not so bright student, the not so bright students actually learn more if they choose their own peer or their group mates in a class. Utilize multimedia elements, leverage your video. Again, as I mentioned, your videos, but not just the video, but incorporate animations, audio recordings, and then to enhance engagement and comprehension. Monotonous, like pre-recorded, obviously. That is why your students did not watch your pre-recorded like 1 hour, because that's very monotonous, and that they will get bored after 7 minutes or after 15 minutes. Okay, ensure accessibility. Ensure that the chosen delivery methods are accessible to all learners regardless of their technological or cognitive abilities. Make sure that hindi mo pwedeng gagawin yung material mo, yung micro-learning activities mo na, okay, this is only for those who have fast internet, and this is only for those who cannot access. So make sure that everyone can access. Remember the technological inclusivity in teaching and learning. So identifying learning objective, breaking content into bite-sized chunks, and selecting appropriate delivery method as the processes in designing micro-learning activities. I'll give you an example to illustrate this. Let's consider teaching vocabulary, because vocabulary is common to all of us. Vocabulary using flashcards or short quizzes. According to this research on multimedia learning, suggests that incorporating visual elements such as flashcards can enhance learning retention. If flashcard is not possible in our topic, show articulation of images, show photos about this prior to or during the motivation stage. No, so this is how you can design the micro learning activity. When it comes to identifying learning objective, so your objective gonna be, for example, the objective is to reinforce vocabulary retention, comprehension, and retention. It's very direct and very concise. To reinforce, hindi na yung ang haba, no? Very long objective. To reinforce vocabulary, comprehension, and retention. So how to break the content to that? So break down the vocabulary words perhaps into smaller groups or categories, like each card can focus on a single word with a definition and example sentence provided on the reverse side. So I think you can imagine. So if this is my paper, you will not put the words there and then the definition. So break down the category. So perhaps the word, and then at the back of your flashcards are the definition. And if you want into a very normalized from the definition, you will have another piece of paper for or to show your examples. Rather than in just one page, the students can see your words, can see the definition, can see the examples, can see the challenges, which normally what we do, especially in our visual aids. Okay, so choose delivery methods that are interactive and visually engaging. So, such as interactive flashcards or short quizzes. Interactive flashcards, if you are into the digital, you can use H5P. If you have a learning management system, you can incorporate that H5P in your learning management system. You can use Kahoot as for your flashcard or your short quizzes, your Mentimeter, and others. So from designing, let's try to look at also how to implement, because we designed already the micro learning, how to implement the micro learning design in the classroom. The first is integrating micro learning into lesson plan. So obviously, once you have designed it, make sure that it is really stipulated into your lesson plan. Hindi yung surprise, this is our activity. It should be visible, and it should be readable, and it should be incorporated in your syllabus. What are the steps? First, identify the learning opportunities, identify the topics or concepts within your curriculum where micro-learning can enhance student understanding and engagement, which means that you have to incorporate that. You have to incorporate that in this activity, we'll be applying micro-learning, which is good enough for 20 minutes. Align with lesson objectives, as mentioned. Ensure that your activities aligned with the broader objective of your lesson plan and contribute to the overall learning goals. And then determine timing and frequency. Determine when and how often micro-learning activities will be integrated into your lesson plans. Consider factors such as spacing, student attention spans, and the available class time. So, sir, pwede ba sir one whole day tapos 20 minutes activity, 20, 20, 20, 20, 20? So it defeat the purpose na naman of your micro-learning. Naka-micro-learn ka nga, but it a total of 8 hours. So most probably you have to have a variety. Later on, I will explain to you the different varieties of micro-learning products. And then I'd emphasize this also, scaffold your activities. Hindi yung one activity is not related to the future or to the succeeding activities. Micro-learning activities, scaffold your micro-learning activities within the context of a larger lesson plan, providing support and reinforcement for concepts introduced in traditional instruction. So in my example, always have your final requirement wherein they can scaffold it and they can start working on it even at the preliminary period. Letter B on the steps in implementing, or second ways or step in implementing micro learning, utilize technology tools and platforms. So explore available tools, research on and explore technology tools and platforms that support the creation of delivery of micro learning content. So like our LMS, as I'd mentioned, in a learning management system, I'd mentioned about Kahoot, Mentimeter, H5P, and all of those. And of course, our video creation software. TikTok video, why not? If that will um, make your students engaged, why not? Because at the end of the day, the reason really on the micro learning is short. That is why a lot of students wanted TikTok, because they can watch so many things in just short period of time, and they can accumulate those information. And in the interactive multimedia platform, select the tool. So choose tools that align with your instructional goals, learner preferences, technical capabilities. Consider again, as I'd mentioned, the use, accessibility, compatibility with existing classroom technology. And you need to create an engaging content to create interactive and multimedia rich micro learning content, such as your video simulations and other interactive presentation. And you have to ensure that the content, as I mentioned again, is accessible to all students, including those with diverse learning needs. Here are some of the micro learning content examples of these. Include, pwede naman text, no? Words. Just use phrases and short paragraph. The 6 by 6 is applicable in the PowerPoint, but may not be applicable for flashcards, or may not be applicable for digital interaction. We can use also images, photos. A lot of in my first slide, I actually use an AI photo creator to that. I just said create an image that will illustrate boredom in the class or boredom during blah blah blah, and that the photo is created to you. That really articulate the kind of content that you want to convey to your readers or to your listeners or to your learners. So video of the short variety, and several. There are many forms of video taking. No, our MC Lisa actually is more familiar to creating videos. There's a lot of ways to create videos para si estudyante hindi mabubore na nakatingin lang sa mukha natin. Audio, short snippets of speech or music, and short tests and quizzes, and games. So simple single screen challenges. So single screen, only one, all the learners are actually pointing to one screen. It's just like our Kahoot. So the third step in implementing microlearning is on monitoring student progress and engagement. Like many other teaching strategies, the end part is actually monitoring our student progress. So we have to establish assessment criteria. We have to use technology tools and platforms to track student performance and engagement with microlearning activities. For example, because technology-driven ang microlearning, it's gonna be easy for us to identify trends, areas of improvements, and potential challenges because there is a so-called digital logs or data logs or users logs. Gather feedback. Solicit feedback from students about their experiences with micro learning activities like surveys, focus group discussions, informal discussions to gather insights into student perceptions, preferences, suggestions, and other improvement. Hindi yung you will ask their reflections only at the end of the semester. What is common today or what is suggested, especially in the micro learning, is even at the end of a short activity, you should have a student progress report. You should have a reflection. You should ask your student any suggestions for improvement of the class, and adjust instructional strategies. Obviously, you have to use the data and feedback to inform instructional decision making and make some adjustment of your micro learning activities. So integrating micro learning, utilizing technology, and monitoring the student progress. I got this example from Journal of Educational Technology and Society to illustrate the implementation of micro learning. Let's consider this. This one is a teacher using micro learning to teach math concepts through a short video tutorial. So what was the process in the journal, in the literature? The process is integrating microlearning into lesson plan. So the teacher embed short video tutorials into their lesson plan and to provide additional explanation and examples of key concepts. So that's the integration stipulated in the lesson plan. Utilizing technology platform, so the teacher utilizes video creation platform to create engaging and visually appealing tutorial. So this the video is actually linked or embedded also in the university's school or learning management system. Why? So that the teacher can monitor and keep track all the clicks, who had viewed into it, who just downloaded it, and so on and so forth. And then monitoring student progress and engagement. What the teacher did, the teacher tracks student views and score and may quiz scores um, associated with the video tutorials through the LMS. So they also gather feedback from students through the survey that the teacher gave to assess the effectiveness of the micro learning approach. In other words, the strategy, not just simply on the learning of the student. And then what the teacher did, based on the student performance, data, and feedback, the teacher adjusts the content. And the delivery was, again, modified to better meet student needs and preferences. Okay, so I'm now down to my second to the last topic, which is on how to assess the effectiveness of micro learning. Just like any other teaching strategy also, we will start with the evaluation method and metrics. There should be rubrics. There should be, you can conduct pre and post assessment, and then knowledge checks, and then performance evaluations in every activity, and then the analytics and data tracking, and the last one is surveys and feedback. So pre and post assessment, I think very self-explanatory. Administer pre-assessment before introducing the activity, and post assessment afterward to measure changes in knowledge or skills. Knowledge check, incorporate knowledge check, short quizzes, 10 items, 5 items, assessment within micro-learning modules to gauge immediate comprehension and retention. Immediately after, the idea really of knowledge check is immediately after they can serve as a formative assessment to the content. Then performance evaluation, assess the student performance on larger assignments or projects that require application of knowledge gained through micro-learning activity. So the performance evaluation is actually normally will extend beyond the micro-learning activity time. So halimbawa, sasabihin mo, this is a micro-learning activity, that's why there is a take-home assignment, and that refers to scaffold, or the micro learning activity is in preparation to your performance task. Then utilize analytics by the platform that you are using. Like if you have your learning management system, it can track actually student, how many have downloaded it, what they access, what they normally do, and so on and so forth. And then surveys and feedback. You have to have, like in an online distance learning environment, you should have an area where students can talk to each other. You should have an area where students would know how to access the teacher, and you should have a space in your virtual classroom, in the case of online learning, a space where students can just leave any message at any time of the engagement time of the course. So that's gathering feedback from students. There are many forms to gather feedback from students. We know that we can deliver a survey. We can use focus group discussions. We can also ask interview to our students. And the most common one, which is observation and informal feedback, in order to solicit uh, interactions. I mean, to solicit what the students learn and how they can help us in improving our micro learning activity. And then in the adjustment part, we should not forget that we have to analyze our data. If you have knowledge check, look at the psychometrics of your questions. For sure, your Moodle or your learning management system can actually look at of which item in the knowledge checks the students, majority of the students did not get the question. Maybe the question is inconsistent, or the question is not clear, or maybe the question is vague. That is why many of them got low. And according to the data, according to the statistics, that the perhaps the Cronbach alpha of that question is very, very low, and that the internal consistency is not reliable. Interpret the feedback, and then identify areas for improvement, revise content and delivery, and the do the iterative process. So analyze the data, review quantitative data that you collect, interpret feedback. Again, you have to look at what those feedback means, and then you need to identify which part that needs to be improved, and that you have to revise your content or your delivery. And again, it's a continuous process. You will not say that I just revised once and then you will not revise the micro learning content or the delivery. Okay, so for example, to illustrate, I was able to find also a literature on this. On data improved knowledge retention and engagement from a study conducted by Trivantis Corporation. This one naman is actually a training. Microlearning actually most popular or being applied in the corporate world, like their HR, their professional development, because the companies or many in the corporate world, they cannot afford to leave or to attend training like a whole day or to leave from work for 2 to 3 days. Unlike us in the academe, pwede nating mag-attend tayo ng 3 days ng seminar or a 2 day. In the corporate world, that's impossible to them and difficult to them, challenging to them. So what they do is they offer micro-learning type of training. So here are some of the example. During the evaluation methods and metrics, the study utilized pre and post assessment to measure changes in knowledge retention, like what they know about this, and then after the micro learning, what is now your knowledge and skill, what is now the level. So it also tracked learner engagement and completion rates using the analytics tool. And then a survey were administered to employees participating in the microlearning program to gather feedback on their experiences. Of course, they conducted in the literature, they conducted also focus group discussion to further or to strengthen their analysis. And based on the data they collected, they adjusted their training plan. No? They adjusted the content and even they adjusted the specific learning outcome of the micro-learning activity. With that, as I wrap up, I hope you learned something and you can consider how micro-learning can revolutionize students' engagement in the classroom. By breaking down complex topics into bite-sized chunks, micro-learning, I believe, and proven in our experiments that it captures students' attention and keeps them actively involved in the learning journey. When students are engaged, we know for the fact that they are more likely to have memorable learning experiences, like moments that stick with them along after they leave the classroom. And these experiences not only deepen their understanding of the material, but also fuel their curiosity, spark their passion, and augment their passion for learning. And as a result, we can see improvements in student achievement as they retain information more effectively and apply it to real world scenarios. I have several papers on student engagement and I can attest to that smaller chunk of content can actually improve memorable learning experiences and that it relates to student achievement. Ultimately, micro-learning translate to enhance student performance across the board as students become more confident, become more motivated, and successful in their academic endeavor. So let's try to consider making or designing our instructional material into a micro-learning. The content or the delivery is smaller, and let's embrace micro-learning as a catalyst for transforming student engagement and driving memorable learning experiences and hoping ultimately elevating student achievement and performance to new height, especially in the era of knowledge economy and AI-driven world. And that ends my presentation.
Our journey into the world of microlearning continues as we are fortunate to have an expert who can provide us with practical examples of teaching and learning resources that thrive in a microlearning environment. Please join me in extending a warm welcome to Mr. Jansim Palama, a faculty of Silliman, as he takes the online stage to inspire us with his expertise in creating compelling teaching and learning resources for the microlearning environment.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much, Mom Lisa. This afternoon, I will be sharing to you some example on teaching and learning resources in microlearning environment. Allow me to share to you my presentation outline this afternoon. I will be sharing to you micro-learning in the classroom, specifically micro-learning for lesson content, micro-learning for assessment, micro-learning for class activities, micro-learning for feedbacking, and I also be sharing very quickly about project-based micro-learning. So, what is micro-learning in the classroom? According to Dr. Dave a while ago, micro-learning in the classroom should deliver content in small bite-sized segments and typically lasting 5 to 10 minutes each topic answered the most essential learning competency objectives in the learning plan. Later on, I will be sharing to you our empowerment technology learning plan as how we were able to integrate micro learning in the classroom. This microlearning in the classroom method focuses on addressing specific learning objectives or concept concisely. Take note of the word very concise, using a variety of media such as video, infographics, quizzes, and or short readings. In the year 2020 to 2021, our learning plan or the syllabus of empowerment technology has 9 topics which we actually applied to our virtual classroom. Now then in the year 2022 to 2023 and even up to this year, instead of having these 9 topics in the classroom, we used to apply microlearning. How we were able to apply microlearning, we able to categorize each topic in the syllabus. For example, in the previous virtual classroom we have 9, as we have here, we actually have 9 lessons or topics. Now, in the current virtual classroom we have right now, we only have 6 without compromising any of the lesson to the course syllabus. Later on, I will be giving a demonstration on how this things works in our virtual classroom in empowerment technology. In terms of micro-learning for assessment and class activities, I used to have varied assessment formats applying micro-learning. For example, in MTech, we have different micro-learning assessments. May it be a formative or a summative assessment. On screen, you're able to see assessment like through a multiple choice or a true or false question, applying varied assessment formats on microlearning. We also have then another assessment in terms of our performance tasks, which integrate a scaffolding from the previous module up until to the current module. Later on, I will be sharing to you how that works in the virtual classroom. Also, a, a module exit ticket. What was happened here is students are able to share ideas on the specific topic concisely. And there is an instruction applying micro-learning on this. Next is micro-learning in feedbacking in MTech. After the students are able to take the assessment, they're able to have feedback or on the results of their taken assessments. Now, the way we micro-learn our feedback to students' answers is through this. We actually have direct feedbacking, and we also have general feedback or the specific feedback. Also, aside from the general feedback and specific feedback, we also have real-time feedbacking applied during asynchronous classes, for example. Now, instead of providing general feedback, focus on specific areas where students needs improvement. So make it sure that the way you give the way you feedback or give comments to student, it should be you should also focus only to the specific area where students needs an improvement, for example. Another important thing is to offer feedback promptly after students complete an activity or assessment. Like, for example, timely feedback, because this allows students to really reflect on the performance while the content is still fresh in their minds. Another thing is to really incorporate various feedback formats such as written comments, audio recordings, video feedback, and other stuff. Because that is one way of providing and applying micro-learning feedbacking formats, which can cater to diverse learning preferences and enhance engagement. You will just not really focus on one feedbacking format, but also learn to make use of different feedbacking formats, such as comments, recordings, audio recordings, or video perhaps. Okay, allow me to share to you my virtual classroom applying microlearning. And of course, yeah, I hope my virtual class, I mean my platform is visible now. Okay, thank you. So take note, I will be sharing to you 3 things for my MTech class in the classroom. So first is micro-learning in terms of lesson content. And second is micro-learning for assessment and class activities, and micro-learning for feedbacking. Micro-learning for lesson content, again, based on the CG from the Department of Education, they were able to give 9 topics to an MTech class, and we sorted only 6 topics, but in a modular format. That's where we're able to use micro-learning, but without compromising any of the topics mentioned in the core syllabus. Meaning to say, all topics that was stated in the curriculum guide from DepEd are still patterned to what we have prepared in a modular way for MTech this semester. For you to really visualize what am I talking about, allow me to share to you my virtual classroom in empowerment technology. This is one way of giving you a visualization or insights on how I applied microlearning in the classroom. For example, in the homepage of my virtual classroom, you're able to see my learning plan. And if you click on that learning plan, there you can see a contextualized learning plan. The from the content standard, performance standard, and most essential learning competencies. Still, the topics that was being mentioned by the being mentioned in the CG from DepEd are also incorporated here in a modular format. But more specifically, it's more concise in terms of performance standards. Meaning to say, the way I prepared my performance task, for example, is scaffold and it's micro-learn. For example, let's start with micro-learning for assessment and class activities. Now, there are actually different type of assessment, may it be a summative or a formative assessment. So I want you to take a look on how we prepared our module. So this is our module. I mean, this is our virtual classroom, and these are our modules 1 to 6. And we just combined applied productivity tools and collaborative development. It should actually, in the curriculum guide from DepEd, there are actually these two topics are a separate topic, but since it's still aligned to each other, we're able to make it in a one module. Same is true to safety, security, and ethics and online research. So going back to microlearning in terms of assessment and class activities, I will be using my module 2. Now, as you can see here, the way we applied microlearning, for example, collaborative development topic. Instead of putting a lot of text about what is email, what is cloud computing, we incorporate picture or thumbnail in the classroom. According to Sir Dave a while ago, the way you put or integrate microlearning in the classroom, it's not just limited only to the text. You can also make use of infographic. You can also make use of pictures, perhaps thumbnails, which is also good because per discussion to Sir Dave, it really needs to have your classroom should be also engaging to the user or to the student. For example, for my students to learn about email communication in collaborative development topic, they need to click this thumbnail. So I have an instruction, click this icon to learn from this topic, and then we'll be able to know about email. Now there is a question. Do you want to start at the last page you saw, for example? And if not, you click yes. Then micro-learning for assessment. Balikta. We'll get back. If you wish to know more about this one, right? If you wish to know more about this one, you'll be able to learn what is email. You could either watch a video about email, or you can actually read text on email, for example. Right? So that's how we use. Okay. Next is, and if not, to click yes. Now, the way we put micro-learning for assessment and class activities, for example, you will be asking, what is email? So select all that applies. So students are able to either select what is the best option to this question. For example, if this question, the answer are these 3 options, so they'll able to submit, right? The way we apply micro-learning here is to directly state what is the question and submit, for example. And based on the discussion a while ago, they're able to get the correct answer. And if you also wish to have more question, a varied type format, like for example, a while ago that was check boxes. Now this time we have drop down, right? So the question here is match the parts of an email to this example. For example, could either be local part. So there are actually two parts of email. May it be a local part or the domain part. Then the students were able to choose whether which is the local part of this option. For example, the local part here is the John L. Palama, and the domain part is at su.edu.ph. So the previous question was check boxes, and the second question is drop down. So it's you're not just focused more on all multiple choices question in one type of assessment. It would be really best to make it more interactive in a way, applying various and varied um, resources for assessment. And then once you're done with that, you submit and you're able to automatically receive feedback, right? You're able to automatically receive feedback to your answer. Next, continue. Okay, then and so on and so forth. So that's how we able to integrate micro learning in the classroom. Now, that's for assessment and class activities. Another example, in terms of, I remember Dr. Dave Marshall items a while ago talks about focus group discussion. Okay, focus group discussion or so-called FGD in the classroom. So the way we use that, the way we apply that in the virtual classroom is through, for example, in our case in MTech, we usually have module exit tickets. What is this exit ticket? Student cannot proceed to the next module if they were not able to finish the first module. It's really a requirement for them to finish the first module for them to open the second module. And if so, the students were not able to answer the first module, the other module exit tickets will not be open. Now, we're talking here micro learning for assessment and class activities. The way we incorporate what we call this micro learning in terms of activity is this one through our exit ticket. For example, in module 1, right? In module 1, I'll just give you an idea. In module 1, there are actually 5 subtopics about introduction to ICT. Right? There are actually 5 subtopics to introduction to ICT. Now, before the module 2 will be open, the students needs to answer exit ticket. It's actually short reflection. The way we applied micro learning to this one is, for example, the question, as we close module 1 and to prepare for you for the first assignment, please spend a few minutes reflecting and answering the following question. Which of the topics in module 1 do you currently feel most confident? So the student will choose only one. Instead of sharing a lot to what they have learned in module 1, we apply micro learning to specifically ask them which among the topic they feel most confident in applying to their specific discipline. Same is true to the next question. You can actually ask feel free to share 3 at least, for example. But in our case, since we applied micro learning in the classroom, we only choose and let them choose one among the 5 topics that they really feel most confident and least confident of, right? So that's one thing, module exit ticket. Another example is, we call this The performance task, I'm here actually. The performance task for empowerment technology. Um, our performance task is scaffold from module 1, 2, and 3. Let's go back here. Modules 1, 2, and 3. Module 1 talks about the introduction to ICT. Module 2 talks about the different applied productivity tools such as MS Word, MS PowerPoint, call this. And very quickly, I'll share it to you. There's one, different productivity tools and collaborative development, right? And for module 3, a moment, this talks more on safety, security, and ethics and online research, which if we click on safety, security, and ethics, there are also a lot of topics about information security, netiquette, and the responsible use of social media, for example. Now, the way we applied micro learning to our performance tasks is through scaffolding. Now, what is this? What is our performance task one? We let our students to create an interactive and engaging presentation using Microsoft PowerPoint that explores the student's discipline or specialization, for example. Where can we find Microsoft PowerPoint? It's actually in Module 2, right? Which belongs to the topic applied productivity tools. There are also additional example here that the students could either choose a topic from modules 1 to 3 that they are interested in exploring further, incorporating, right? Incorporating um, elements to make it really more interactive and engaging presentation. The way we prepared our performance tasks is really scaffold. Some items in the instruction here mentioned is the students could either, right, instead of giving individual tasks to per module, for example, module 1, a specific task, module 2, another specific task for module 2, module 3, specific task for module 3. We're not doing that in the classroom. The thing that we did in the classroom is the students will only come up with one performance task covering the three modules. So that's how we used and integrate micro learning in the classroom in terms of our performance task. Okay, so another item I mentioned a while ago, aside from micro learning for lesson content, micro learning for assessment, and this time, micro learning micro learning feedbacking. Now, it is really important to also consider micro learning feedbacking. Now, the way we put feedbacking in the assessment or the submission of the student is like this. For example, in unit test, if the students will click this one to take the test, right? Start attempt. Sorry, this one alone. I'll be sharing to you. Okay, this is good. Very quickly. Like for example, unit test, and then questions. Sorry, questions. And then over here. All right. This is an example of how we applied micro learning feedbacking. Sorry, my screen is not visible. I mean, very quickly. This one. Visible na? Question number 1. Okay, good. Now, question number 1 states here, which of the following plays an important part in our lives and in all aspects in our society? The answer here is this one, right? And the way we put the way we integrate microlearn for feedbacking is could either put specific feedback or general feedback. Specific feedback means, for example, the students were done answering this question. If the students got the correct answer, the students will able to receive you're right, you're correct, right? So that's specific feedback. More on general feedback, micro learning is to really states the general feedback on the question, for example. And if I'll save this and update, okay, shown, and then here's the answer, submit and finish, then you're able to see the specific feedback that's correct. And then the general feedback over here is, yes, you're right. Meaning to say, ICT plays a very essential part in education, business, hospitals, government, and among others. This is specific feedback. Is it micro learning? Yes, it's micro learning because um, you you state only the item correctly, which item is correct. And the way I put the general feedback is very generic in nature. Instead of giving a lot of things, a lot of readings for general feedback, I'll just emphasize what is the general feedback of this question. Okay. Here. Next, over here, this is, if you have a learning management system, this is how you incorporate a micro learning feedbacking to the assessment of student. Could either be a general feedback, meaning to say, once the student answers it correctly, it provides the general feedback. Applying micro learning. The way you put your general feedback should be direct and concise. And according to Sir Dave, focused on the question, for example. And the specific feedback is this one. What is the specific feedback? Once the students got the correct answer, you'll be able to have the specific feedback that they're able to get it correctly. Meaning to say they are right in their choice. Right? That's how we use feedbacking in assessment. Since I'm talking about varied assessments a while ago, I also be sharing to you, aside from the unit test, say for example, in this classroom, I'll be using my other classroom. For feedbacking in performance tasks, still applying micro learning. Right? So for example, performance tasks, there are now 25 students were able to send their performance tasks. Now, the way I give feedback to students is not just limited only to a comment, but also applying a rubric, applying a annotations perhaps, and everything. So for example, if I wish to grade this performance task to my students, in my classroom, I incorporated automatic rubric, right? This is rubric. And yeah, that's part of feedbacking. Another thing is we also have a feature here where we can give feedback comments to the output of the students in different elements or ways. For example, you can actually give feedbacks to students, not just only text, but also make use of microphone, a video perhaps, right? So still applying micro learning, right? The way you give feedback, again, should be concise, should be focused to the concern, and should be specific. For example, I'm done checking with this output, and my feedback is please enhance and modify some pages like your blogs and about us section. This is because my output is about website, for example. So it's specific, meaning to say the student should enhance and modify, right? Where in the presentation should be in the blog page and in the about us section. So it's micro learning, right? Should be specific. Aside from the rubric, and then also aside from the feedback comments, one feature we have in the learning management system here in Telemann is we actually have um, this one, notes for direct feedbacking. For example, this is recorded. Please modify some parts of the website. Specifically state there, specifically, okay. Now you can actually also delete the feedback. Still, don't forget to really apply micro learning for direct feedbacking. Next, aside from that, if the students get it correctly, you can make use of the feature here, such as check and cross. Okay, and then if you also wish to delete this, then make use of this and then delete. Okay, so that's micro learning in terms of feedbacking to assessments submissions to our students in terms of performance tasks, their unit test, for example, long quiz. That's how we incorporate or integrate micro learning in the classroom, and not just only one format, but in different ways, right? And you can also make use of the emojis and other stuff. So that's how we practice um, micro learning in the classroom of empowerment technology. Per outline a while ago, I was also tasked to share to you very quickly, since it's already 3:40, about Bangkok project, which we had last year, on how we were able to apply micro learning to our Bangkok project. It's a different thing because the one that I was sharing a while ago is very pedagogical in nature, such as in the classroom environment. Now, this time I will be sharing to you very quickly our project-based. This is project-based micro learning. Okay, so in the project in Bangkok, there are actually 6 modules, is if I'm not mistaken, very quickly. Okay, there are actually 6 modules. Now, the way we applied micro learning to a project, because this is different than the micro learning in the classroom, right? So the way we applied micro learning in a project based is it's quite similar to the one that I was sharing a while ago on for example, instead of giving a lot of lecture in the specific learning objective of the module, it would be really best to explain it directly to the audience. Second is focus on explaining the specific objectives of each chapter and allowing learners to grasp key concept in a concise and targeted manner. So this module, I mean, this project is a very long project because this has 6 modules, and each module has specific topics to really undertake with. For example, according to the guidelines of this project, the instructional designer should create a short and light, and the yellow highlighted text over there, short and light for easy download. So meaning to say, it's our job as an instructional designer to create a micro learning approach in this project. The way we use or the way we applied micro learning in this project is through this way. For example, all videos are in microlearned. For example, instead of giving a lot of discussion, a long discussion for the specific topic, take a look at on the right side of the screen. Videos should, or we're not able to go beyond at least 5 minutes discussion, right? So instead of, because the usual is the way we discuss is in a total package, meaning to say the whole module should be discussed in one lecture, for example. But in our case, since we applied micro learning, we catch in a bite size, right? So videos should and must be not beyond 7 minutes, for example. So that's more of that. Sir Fredley will be sharing to you, because it's actually the same with my example. It's also a project-based learning approach. Sir Fred, thank you.
Thank you, Sir John. So for this time, allow me to share my screen. Can you share? Oh, can you see the screen now? Can you give me a virtual thumbs up? Okay, thank you very much for your response. So here I will be showcasing an open online course on fighting information disorder on social media. So this is particularly one of our project-based micro-learning approach. So in this particular open online course, the course modality is asynchronous learning. So in which they can work and learn on their own pace. So with a given duration of time. So this is anchored in micro-learning approach. So how we implement this open online course into a micro-learning approach. So basically, first is we integrate bite-sized learning modules. So as you can see in the screen, so we have 6 modules or bite-sized learning modules pertaining to our main advocacy is promoting or fighting information disorder on social media. So we have 6 bite-sized learning modules, and each of that modules have a specific course structure. So as you notice, that is enclosed. The 6 modules are enclosed, and it is enclosed to show you the particular course formats. So we have in that particular modules, so we have introduction, we have lesson, we have the knowledge check, the lesson activity, the performance task, the reflection, and the moving forward pertains to giving of badges and then certificate of the course certificate of completion with that particular module. And then we also have the references. So in that case, we integrate that particular open online course with bite-sized learning modules. So this is funded particularly by United Board of Christian Higher Education Institution in Asia. So the engagement for this course is 54 hours, so 3.5 hours in a week. So here the participants are teachers, librarians, and students, particularly student leaders. So now I will share to you the sample virtual classroom for this open online course. So I will turn now the screen to my sample of virtual classroom. Okay, I hope you can see the virtual classroom. Okay, so I will make it bigger so that you can see it clearly. So in this part, since this is an open online course, so this is our main title, Fighting Information Disorder on Social Media. So we have 6 main learning modules for this one, since we divided it into bite-sized learning modules. So first is we will just go with the preparatory module, is to prepare our attendees or participants in this course. And then we have module 1, module 2, module 3, module 4, module 5, and then module 6. And then it will end with a culmination module. So in this part, so I will focus on my module, so which are in which I assigned as one of the facilitator or the module writer for this open online course. So here, as you notice, we have this particular module. We begin with the course structure with an introduction. So in the introduction, so in that case, it will just highlight your module learning outcomes. And then you will present a promotional video regarding your lessons inside your module. And then you have an alternative if they cannot view it, if there is internet connectivity problem, then they can view the alternative link. And then we present also the ebook for this particular module. And then we also have the icon for downloading of the resources. So if they see this particular icon, then they can download in a text-based in PDF version. So, and then we have, again, the lesson. So in this particular module, we have 4 lessons. So I will just highlight one lesson, lesson 1. So in that particular lesson, as you notice, we have it, we utilize technology tools and platforms, as Dr. said a while ago. Dr. Dave said a while ago. So we utilize technology tools and platforms. So particularly, this is in the form of multimedia formats. So in the form of text. So in text parts, in text part, we have the PDF version, and then we have images. This could be in the form of infographics, just like what you see in the screen. And then the videos format, if you have videos or audios in your particular course, so we suggest that you should have a transcript of it. And then you will present also some of the tests and quizzes of that particular lesson and some of interactive activities. So in my case, I have here, as I said earlier, so you can click a particular download and it will, if you click this icon, so it will present to you a PDF version of that particular ebook. And then if you click the learning resource of that particular topic, so you can see here, I have a short video clip, particularly giving you the learning objectives of that lesson. And then I have a video transcript. And then you have present your topic, and then this could be in any format. So in this one, you can simply download this particular file, and then you have the video transcript of the presentation. And then here, in the forms and types of infographics, so I present it in an interactive way. So I present it in the use of the platform H5P. So particularly, they will click this particular specific screen, and then they will see that particular output will pop up. So this is in the form of video. And then I have presented also the video transcript of it. So that is the structure of the lesson. Okay, so you will present it in a different multimedia formats to cater students' diversity in learning. And then you will have the knowledge check. So a knowledge check is particularly 10 items, and then that's good for that particular time limit. And then to monitor the student progress and engagement, we also provide a specific generic feedback and general and specific feedback. So for example, if they answer it and then they have that particular ranges of scores, then they will get this particular feedback. And also they can review as well the specific feedback given by their teacher. So again, this is in asynchronous learning. So which means they will not have a synchronous learning time. So it means that they can work on their own, in which we give this specific or general feedback. And then we have also the activities. So please take note that the knowledge check in this part is not limited. Okay, so in this part, it's not limited on objective type of test, but it also cater multiple question types, just like multiple choice, true or false, short answer, or essay questions. And then for the activity, so here you can have it in the form of a survey, a short answer, a discussion, or a quiz. So in this format, we also provide a feedback for this particular activity in the learning activity section. So if they click this one, or if they will perform this, then they can also get a feedback. Okay, so that's how we monitor student progress and engagement in our virtual classroom. And then those are the example of the introduction, the lesson, the knowledge check, and learning activity type of our module. And then we have one performance task, and that's good for the rest of the topics. Okay. And then we have our reflection. And then we have our moving forward. In our moving forward, we have a sort of an activity or a closing activity. And then we have to evaluate this particular module. And then we have a certificate module for that specific modules. And then showing you the references also. So all in all, if you will see here, the fighting information disorder on social media, all of the information or concepts learned from module 1 to all of the modules have a scaffold, okay, scaffold activity down to your very last module. So all of the learnings coming from module 1 to 5, then they have a specific culmination module, which is module 6. Okay, so at this point, so that's how the micro learning strategy is integrated in fighting information disorder on social media. So it is a project-based micro learning approach. Okay, so thank you very much. And I will now give the floor to to Teacher Lisa.
Thank you so much, Sir Fredley and Sir John, for those insightful examples and valuable insights into creating effective teaching and learning resources for microlearning environments. Your presentation has undoubtedly inspired us to think creatively about how we can leverage these types of resources to enhance the learning experience. So at this point, we would like to open the floor for a question and answer session. This is an excellent opportunity for all of us to address any queries, seek clarification, or delve deeper into specific aspects of microlearning that resonates with our individual needs and interests. You may raise your virtual hand if you want to start, or you may type in your questions in the chat box. Any takers? Perhaps they are still typing their questions. Again, you can click the virtual hand there to raise your hand so we can acknowledge you for your question. We have someone, Ma'am Natividad. Yes, go ahead, please.
Good afternoon po.
Yes, go ahead.
Yes, sorry po na late po ako pero it's very insightful to hear the presentation po ano. And medyo new po ako dito sa microlearning and ano po ang mga requirements or if there are restrictions, how can we implement this in our own institution or trainings po or sa aming educational institutions? Yan po bang batas po or guidelines po?
Okay. To answer that, as to ruling, micro learning is a teaching strategy, and in the Philippines, when it comes to strategy and pedagogy, we are not bound to any law, but we are bounded to a certain pedagogical underpinnings, and that there is no restriction and no one can hinder us if we will be applying micro learning. However, there is a catch. It should be recognized, number one, it should be recognized, you as a teacher, that you are incorporating micro learning in the class. What does it mean? It means that it has to be incorporated and it has to be stipulated in the syllabus that you are applying a micro learning approach. Just like when we say our delivery is flip learning, many of us say, or sometimes we always say, yung classroom ko, I use flip learning. Pero pag chinek ko naman yung syllabus, there is no articulation that there is flip learning as a teaching strategy. So there's no restriction actually. Ano yung mga requirement? All you have to do is to incorporate that in your column, in your syllabus on, especially on the resources. And when it comes to anong gagawin, what's gonna be the first start is, I think, include that as your list of teaching strategy in your university or in your school. Kung baga, acknowledgement lang talaga. When I say acknowledgement, it has to be articulated, stipulated, and listed as a teaching strategy. At alam naman natin na if that is a teaching strategy, no one can dictate to us on the strategy that we wanted to implement in our classroom. Thank you, sir. Thanks for that question. That's a very good articulation, no? Kung paano siya gagawin. Just like, and I think what is also necessary, sir, is it if mahirap magiging institutional kasi microlearning may not be applicable for all type of learning outcomes. So maybe you can just start it into your own classroom. At when we say microlearning also, it doesn't mean that all in your learning activities and content could be microlearning. Kasi it's pag nakita nyo naman sa virtual classroom or sa syllabus ni Teacher John and Teacher Fredly, hindi siya, it needs more effort and it needs more time kasi nga there's need uh, a lot of preparation to think, especially in the instructional designing. Thank you, sir.
Thank you
Sir
very
John
much.
and Fredly, do you have something to add?
None for me, sir.
Yes, none for me also, sir.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
we have thank you for that question, and of course the answer from Dr. Dave. We also have a question from Mr. Lego. How can this be applied in the tertiary education? Since the example is basing on MELCs, is there any difference?
Yeah, similar to, there's no actually difference. It's either you're going to implement that in the basic ed CG or the MELCs in CG, or the CLO or the ILO in the OBIDICE format type of syllabus. Because again, the principle really is micro learning is a teaching strategy. If you notice in the OBIDICE format, there is always a column for teaching strategy. There is always a column for a column for strategy, what teaching and learning strategy. So whether it is project based, whether it is in basic ed, still you can apply micro learning again, because the context, the principle is it is a teaching strategy, and once it is a teaching strategy, no one can dictate us, no one, and and being a teacher in the class, we are the one who set our own teaching strategy, again following on the concept and principle of the type of teaching strategy that we want. Parang 'di ba, usually pag sa OBIDICE format natin, teaching strategy, palagi ko nakikita yan when I monitor an HEI, palagi ko nakikita interactive lecture discussion. Discussion, yun ang palaging sinusulat. Discussion, lecture. So parang ganun lang siya, parang micro-learning. Instead of putting discussion, which is very traditional, why not put micro-learning assessment, micro-learning content, focusing on. So, is a teaching strategy. So, categorically, Sir Lego, hi sir. Hi to Davao. Kumusta ang Davao? Um, there's no difference because after all, micro learning is a teaching strategy. Whether it is classroom oriented, it just so happen lang, John is exhibiting an empowerment class. I think we're supposed to present sana teaching learning course in the teacher ed that we are handling, but medyo ma-overtime tayo, so we just opted to present one course which is in the senior high school. And we also presented a sample training course that micro learning is not only for academic course or academic program, but it can be also applied in any form of learning activity.
Thank you, Sir Dave. Do you have anything to add, Fredly or Sir John?
Yeah, in my case, Mom Lise, it's even if it's a project base or even if it's a specific course, you can actually apply micro learning. It depends upon us on how we strategize in terms of preparation of our content, and I agree with the idea of Sir Dave.
Thank you. How about Sir Friendly?
Uh, in my end, okay, can you hear me? Okay. So in my end, to add additional inputs of what Dr. Dave and Sir Jan said, so if you do the micro learning approach, make it sure you know your learning objectives of your specific course, and then you need to have a bite-sized chunks of modules, learning modules to it, and then you have a properly constructed or integrated instructional design of each of the lessons to be fully effective in promoting micro learning approach in your teaching and learning. That's all, Ma'am Liz.
Thank you, everyone. So do we have any other questions? Okay, in the chat box? Yes.
Yeah, we have one,
So,
Ma'am. We have one,
yes.
Ma'am Liz. Hello from Davao City. Very init. Yes, init din dito, sir. Increasing din sa amin. Can you give us glimpse of challenges? I'll give the challenges siguro to John and Fredly because they experience being an instructional designer. And then I'll give the challenge me being the one who designed the pedagogy and who designed the framework later. Or maybe
Okay, thank
Lisa,
you.
Lisa also maybe you can give a share especially on micro learning in video production.
Well,
Thank
I was caught off guard. But let me share first. Yeah, basically the challenge is more of um the one who's going to create these learning materials. So first off, we were not trained, of course, to create video files, to create audio files, because basically this came in quickly when there was COVID. So the challenge, therefore, is by learning to use this new applications that was introduced to us, and a challenge as well on the creativity of the teacher. So the time as well, right? Because you have to do all these edits and then put them all together. So basically, that's where I see where the major challenge is. Because we already have all the curriculum guide, all of those. All we have to do is how to put them together. So that's the main challenge that I have encountered. How about you, Sir John?
Yeah, in my case, I think it's in terms of preparation. Um, Preparation in a sense that uh, it would the way we prepare our materials as a teacher incorporating microlearning should not compromise any of the topic mentioned in the curriculum guide. It is very important to cover up everything in the curriculum guide, most especially target to the performance standards of the the CG, right? Without compromising. Even if it's micro learning, make it really sure that the way you instruct, the way you incorporate, the way you make use of micro learning in the classroom should be specific, more concise, and apply the smart, the smart approach. Should be specific, measurable, attainable, um, relatable, and time bounded. So it's more in preparation in terms of the challenges to students. um so far, the way I create feedback to the submission, there's no yet challenges being raised in the classroom. Um, so far in my teaching and learning experience through applying microlearning.
Eh, in my end, uh, it should be constructively aligned with the three concepts. So we have our intended learning outcomes, and then we have teaching and learning approaches and assessment methods in presenting our specific topic or lessons. And then microlearning, it's not just displaying multiple or varied formats, but it should make it sure that you should have an appropriate delivery methods of your lesson to your learners. So it's not basically you know how to edit, and then it should cater the diverse learning styles of your intended audience. So it needs more lots of creativity coming from the instructional designer as well as the course creator. That's it.
Yeah, thank you. It's really true. It's more on the creativity. From the it just so happen we are lucky that in our team we have group of instructional designers. We also have content creators. So we have diverse responsibilities. Although we share different responsibilities, but from the instructional designers, really, when I say instructional designers, they are not the one creating the content like the one showed by teacher John. There was already a content given to us, and then we just have to articulate that in micro learning. So the instructional designing designers, sometimes they need to go inside the content for them to spark their creativity and articulate the delivery. So that's the challenge, especially if the content is not your field. But if the content is within your field of expertise, like the one presented by John, that he's the one teaching it, the challenge, to me, the challenge really is more on making sure that the content is still coherent and cohesive, and still the intended learning outcome is there. In other words, the design should not overpass the intended learning outcome. So ganun siya. And as I'd mentioned also, hindi naman pwedeng lahat ng content naka-microlearn or lahat ng assessment naka-microlearn. Appropriateness pa rin. So from the perspective of a person who designed the framework, it's really more of making sure providing a varied and a variety of strategy to the learners. It's not simply about because it is micro learning and then they are engaged. It's providing them more variety to be engaged in the classroom. So the challenge really is looking at the content, how to make sure that the content is applying micro learn strategy, and if the micro learn, how a specific micro learn activity contribute to the overall goal of the content. So yun ang pinaka-challenging. But I believe that a more visual challenge can be taken from from the person who really designed the micro learning content. Kasi from my end, I develop all the framework. So for example, when it comes to content writing, I talk to the writers and so on and so forth. Thank you to that. Follow up, how do students behave in terms of their motivation? Um, in yun nga, in our experiment, students are more engaged kasi nga, for example, you just imagine if you have an activity for a 2 hour or for a 5 days or a 2 hour, let's just be practical, a 3 hour activity. And, a 3 hour activity, if iisang rubrics lang yan, uh, there is less opportunity for the students to accumulate their score rather than partition it bite size lang And then perhaps out of one, you can divide it into three. So if the students are not performing in one activity, they might be able to perform other activity. So which means they can be engaged at any part of those sliced activity. Unlike in one whole activity, they may not be engaged for the rest of the activity. So there is still improvement in the student engagement. Does it support long-term retention? Well, based on research naman, sir, yun nga, the main intention really is we wanted to increase student engagement because student engagement is highly correlated to learning retention, and that retention is highly correlated to achievement. So, yun pa muna yung mga studies namin. It's really more of making sure that the students are engaged and then follow through na yung if there are retention. Kasi nga knowledge retention naman is cannot be just measured at one time. But when it comes to recall, well, according to the students, they learn easily and it's easy for them to recall and gain a certain or at least a basic understanding.
Thank you, Sir Dave. We have another question from Sir Ostero on the chat box.
Oh yeah. Yes, Clint, actually, if you look at the micro learning is originated in the industry. Yun nga, the context is uh, in the industry, they cannot afford to leave from work for longer time. Unlike sa atin na, oh, we will send you to a faculty development training off for 5 days. We will send you in a retreat house and you will learn. Pwede sa atin yan. But in the industry, hindi talaga pwedeng ganun. So, ang ginawa ng mga HR, they normally slice it and then maraming mga onboarding, orientations. I know some e-learning industry who provides micro-learning content for HR, for onboarding, for orientation and etc. Is it similar to academe? Is it is not exactly the same to academe because in the academe we have certain performance that we have to look after. Siguro medyo elevated lang in terms of training and development kasi the components are still there naman, your intended outcome, your assessment if needed, and etc. More or less similar kasi nga the basics as a teaching strategy are there. There's no difference. Hindi natin pwedeng sabihin na an industry in the micro learning you don't assess, that in the micro learning you don't do this, something like that. Thank you, Clint.
Yes, another one, Sir Dave, in the chat box.
Can you share to us more gamification apps? Yeah, we offered a lot of gamification. In fact, I think we offer gamification and game-based learning, right? We offer a separate training to that. There's a lot, Ma'am Warlinda. There's a lot actually of tools, not just simply Kahoot. If you have LMS, please explore H5P. It's an all-in-one gamification and game-based application. Kahoot is limited, but if you go to H5P, you have a lot of choices there. And if you have an LMS, um, H5P can be embedded. The one showed by Sir Fredley, the one showed by John on how interactive their LMS, those are actually from H5P. Okay, if you don't have LMS, H5P can still be used. Para din siyang Kahoot that you can actually use kahit wala kang LMS. Having an LMS lang is a more organized and very visual. Alam naman natin si estudyante napaka-visual. So, but again, H5P can still be used even if you don't have a learning management system.
Okay, so I guess we don't have any other question. And parang na ano tayo ngayon sa time. Because I know for sure this topic is very interesting. So since it's already 4:22, let me just go directly there. And thank you, by the way, for your questions. So we truly had an engaging and insightful session exploring the fundamentals of micro-learning and examining practical examples of teaching and learning resources tailored for this approach. Thank you to all our speakers for sharing their valuable expertise. But before we conclude today's workshop, we would like to gather your feedback and evaluate the effectiveness of these programs. Your insights are invaluable as we continue to enhance and refine our micro-learning initiative. So in the chat box, you will see there a link to an online evaluation form. We kindly request that you take a few minutes to complete this survey. Please do share your candid thoughts and suggestions. Your feedback will play a crucial role in shaping future micro-learning workshops and ensuring that we continue to meet your needs and expectations effectively. Again, you may access the link, the evaluation link in our in the chat box. You can also scan the QR code found on your screen. And for those who did not check the chat box, there's an announcement from Sir Dave. Soon we will be offering bite-sized courses that are micro-credentialed to our master's degree program. So we hope to see you in that program. Okay, I think we can multitask because we really do want to have a photo op for this event. So if your connection allows you, please turn on your webcam and we'll let Ma'am Niti take a photo. So let's multitask if pwede. Yeah. Missy, maybe you can do the countdown.
Okay. Yes. Hello, everyone. If you have any internet connection, can you please open your camera for a group pictorial? 3, 2, 1, smile. Another one. 3, 2, 1, smile. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Mommy.
Come on, Lias.
So on behalf of the organizing team, I extend our heartfelt gratitude for your active participation and engagement throughout this workshop. Likewise, I would like to extend my heartfelt appreciation to our esteemed speakers whose expertise, passion, and commitment to excellence have been invaluable in guiding us through the fundamentals, best practices, and real-world application of microlearning. Remember, this workshop is not the end, but the beginning of a journey where we continuously explore, innovate, and refine our learning to our approach to learning, ensuring that we remain at the forefront of educational excellence. This has been Orielisa Maipa. Thank you once again. Stay inspired, stay curious, and keep learning. Thank you for joining us, everyone. Have a great day.